Hey guys, Rob here with McDojoLife. In today's McDojo Breakdown, we're going to talk about a martial arts instructor who believes he can knock someone out with his mind. But he even took it a step further and went on national television and attempted to knock someone out with his chi on national television. Let's check it out and let's break it down.
I'm just going to work them on large intestine inside here. Now, normally what I'll do is I'll snap to the nose, so the motion goes inside this way. So, inside here, I'm going to snap to the nose. I'm going to catch him on gallbladder because I don't want to break his nose. Right inside here. I'm going to reach in into large, small intestine 18. So I'm going to launch him back this way. I'm going to come down governor, conception vessel. Ooh. Hey, again. Hey. Hey. Here? Yeah. Woo. That's good.
The man you just got done watching in that video goes by the name of Leon J. But before we get into the details about that guy, I want to go ahead and go over that video one more time. I want you guys to pay attention to the subtlety of this man not really being knocked out. Now, right now, he's talking about gallbladders and meridian points and all the nonsensical pressure point garbage. But I want you to watch that leg whenever this guy actually gets knocked out. They sit him up, and when they go to cross his legs, he just crosses the leg for them. He just does it like, I'm unconscious, and then his leg magically moves to where it's supposed to be. Unconscious people don't cross their own legs. That's crazy. Let's continue. If the name Leon J sounds familiar to you, it's probably because you recognize it from his father, Wally J, the founder of something called Small Circle Jiu-Jitsu. Small Circle Jiu-Jitsu is really known for its joint locks, but specifically really well known for its small joint manipulation. You know, kind of like finger locks and wrist locks and things like that. Yeah. Kind of like that. Now, this video is supposed to be more about Leon J, but I did think it was important to make sure to bring up this photo, which is a photo of Wally J. Who do we see standing next to him? That's right, George, I will knock you out with my chi while screaming, Ning, Dillman. Ning. The reason I bring that photo up is whenever people bring up Leon J, they always talk about how great his father was, Wally J. They tend to forget that the only reason that Leon J, his son, even knew George Dillman is because Wally J used to travel and do seminars with George Dillman all the time. These guys did seminars together so much that they literally called these guys in this photo the Big Three. So it's no surprise to me that Leon J would grow up and be introduced to George Dillman, who happened to be homies with his father. And while Wally J never seemed to get into the whole chi power knockout thing, it really doesn't surprise me that his son would have. There's an old saying that applies here where the apple sometimes falls far from the tree. In the case of Leon J and his father, not only did the apple fall far from the tree, it fell off the tree, rolled down the hill, went onto the overpass, fell off the overpass, landed on the back of an Apple truck. Then that Apple truck went about 3 or 4 states over and did a delivery at George Dillman's dojo, where he pulled the apples out and he taught the apple how to do no-touch knockouts and manipulate chi. Personally, I would think just being associated with George Dillman would pretty much end most people's careers for being taken seriously. But you can actually apparently one-up that. Apparently you can do one step further than just ruin your career. You can take that career and bury it under where they buried someone else's career by going on national television and trying to no-touch knock out somebody with your chi. August 20th, 2005, National Geographic released an episode of a show called Is It Real? In that episode of Is It Real, they featured George Dillman, and the entire episode was trying to see if no-touch knockouts were a real thing. So, according to that video, who's George Dillman?
George Dillman is a force to be reckoned with. He's a 9th degree black belt who has taught everyone from Muhammad Ali to Bruce Lee. And he's able to drop just about anyone using applications of pressure to certain points along the body.
Apparently, George Dillman also thinks very highly of himself.
I can put the largest person that you can find in the world, and I've done this, with that finger. I can put him on the floor. I've flatlined several people.
George apparently not only thinks very highly of himself, he thinks so highly of himself, he actually thinks that he could use chi to move people, not only in his martial arts program, but also in lines at places like Starbucks.
I locked with their aura, and I moved the line. I shouldn't tell you this, but I play with people in Starbucks, and I just stood there, and I moved the line. And they all moved, and they all looked back at me at the same time. They went like this, and I looked back too, like it was happening to me. I looked because I didn't want them to know I did this, right?
He thinks they can move people with the power of chi. Well, what is chi?
Chi, it flows throughout the body. Without it, you don't function. And it's a radio wave.
Well, what does science think about chi?
Science can't find chi. It doesn't exist as far as science can tell.
Well, Mr. Science Man, if chi doesn't exist, explain this about George Dillman's fingernails.
I know I have chi energy. You can see it with the half moons. My chi is up now because of the filming. I have half moons in my fingertips now. That means the chi is just coming out.
That's right, he really believes that that little half moon part of your nail, that little white area on your nail, actually has anything to do with his chi powers. What is that white part of your nail really though? Well, that white part of your nail has nothing to do with chi. It's something called your lunula. If you see that portion of your nail extending out as far as he's saying it's extending, it could be something like cirrhosis, it could be chronic renal failure, or it can also be congestive heart failure. It could also be due to aging, but this particular condition is actually known as Terry's nail. It has nothing to do with chi. And as a matter of fact, I think Mr. Dillman should probably go see a doctor. Now, clearly he has no clue what he's talking about in terms of his nail beds, but he also believes that he can knock people out with chi without touching them.
Essentially, he claims to be able to knock anyone out without touching any part of their body by just throwing a giant chi whammy at them.
Sometimes it drains me. I can get that way within a second or two if I throw the chi out too fast.
Why do I bring this clip up? That was all Dillman. Well, the producers of that show wanted them to demonstrate a no-touch knockout on someone who was not one of their students. This is where George Dillman decided, you know what? I'm going to take a step back. I'm going to let Leon J do it.
It's time for a showdown. In one corner, weighing in at no more than 125 pounds, is chemist Luigi Garnaschelli. He thinks he can stand up to a knockout punch of chi because it doesn't exist. In the other corner, it's 8th degree black belt Leon J., one of George Dillman's top associates and fellow practitioner of the no-touch knockout. This ought to be interesting.
In fact, when we did the test on Luigi, he was not ready to believe these things. Or maybe it was just staying there, seeing what would happen. It didn't work.
Clearly, we all know that wasn't going to work. But Leon J was so delusional, he actually attempted this on national TV. I think the most messed up part about that whole thing is Dillman pretty much set him up for failure. That's why Dillman didn't do it. He knew that this wasn't going to work, but he damn sure had plenty of excuses as to why it didn't work.
Dillman thinks he knows what went wrong and has come up with a very interesting explanation.
The skeptic was a totally non-believer. Plus, I don't know if I should say that on film, but if the guy had his tongue in the wrong position of the mouth, that can also nullify it. Yeah, you can nullify it. You can nullify a lot of things done to you. In fact, you can nullify it if you raise those two big toes. If I say I'm going to knock you out, and you raise one toe and push one toe down, can't knock you out. And then if I go to try again, you reverse it. If you keep doing this, I won't knock you out.
You would think that over the years he would have just stuck to his guns on those excuses. But no. Fast forward years later, and here's George Dillman again. He shows up on something called the Whistle Kick Podcast. And on that podcast, he created yet another excuse.
And on National Geographic, Leon J. did not knock out that little tiny man. But remember I told you pressure points work better if the guy's bigger and stronger. And in Chicago, they brought in some little tiny guy, and I didn't even want to try to knock him out in case it wouldn't work. Little person, littler pressure point. Bigger person, bigger pressure point. This art works if the person is stronger than you, bigger than you. That's when you need it. That's when women need it.
Sadly enough, on that National Geographic episode, Leon J. was left hanging out to dry by George Dillman like an old crusty towel.
You're a towel.
No, you're a towel. But I digress. Now currently, Leon J is still the figurehead of small circle jiu-jitsu, even though he took that hard L on that National Geographic episode. Not only is he still the figurehead of small circle jiu-jitsu, but he's still spreading that Dillman nonsense. This next video I'm about to show you is pretty ridiculous, so strap in. He's teaching that whenever somebody is trying to manipulate your small joints like your fingers, if you just touch certain spots on your body, then it won't actually affect your small joints. Check it out.
You know, we're electrical magnetic human beings. We generate chi. We move energy through our bodies. If I create pain here, that's one thing. Watch. Take this hand and just place it right on top. Don't grab it. Just place it there. What he's doing is he's circulating the energy this way, fortifying that hand. Take the hand away. Put the hand back. Take the hand away. Okay, there you go. Right? And this is quite simple, really. Watch, do it again. There's other ways to do this. Watch. This is large intestine 4. It's into the kidney line. That's a metal, that's a water. Put that right there. Take it away. And another way to do it. Watch. Metal, kidney, water. Remember when you're kids? You remember this? Cross the fingers. Uncross the fingers. Look, watch. You know cat stands? Yeah, okay. Watch. Stop. Put the feet down flat. Lift the heel. Watch. That's the counter to the counter.
I don't care where you touch. If someone grabs a hold of your finger and yanks that thing and snatches it off, it's still going to break, it's still going to hurt. It doesn't matter what version of the Macarena you did to try to defend it. Now's the time where we rank this dude on the Dillman scale. He's still teaching that nonsense even though it's clear that it doesn't work and it's been proven not to work. And he's one of George Dillman's disciples. So, of course, he's getting 5 out of 5 Dillmans. Trying to teach people that if you do some type of touching on yourself that magically the small joint manipulation isn't going to work anymore, you're incorrect. They're going to snatch that finger off like a celery stalk. Leon, you had the stuff from your dad. Just teach that. Leave the Dillman stuff alone. The man hung you out to dry on national television. Stop letting this psychotic man manipulate you. Jesus, why would you do this to yourself? It's an embarrassment. But with that said, I want to find out who actually watched the entire episode. So whenever you leave your comment in the comment section below, I want you to do me a favor and tell me what is your favorite McDojoLife video that we've ever put out. Let me know. If you're a member of the page, you get access to all the emojis that we use on here. So if you are, use them things. In the comment section below, also make sure you drop your own Dillman rank. I want to say thank you for all the likes, comments, shares, subscriptions, and all that other crap people online tell you to do. Keep the martial arts legit.
Things just haven't been the same. Living strange since my baby joined that dojo. Joined a McDojo. Now she tries to